Anamericantalkshow. I'm your host, David Allard. I'm an attorney from Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Today's topic is the possibility that the Earth is flat and not a globe, an idea that most people will reject out of hand. However, there is evidence to support such a model. Please listen to the evidence and draw your own conclusion. And thanks for watching an American Talk Show. Since the beginning of time, man has pondered the stars, all celestial bodies, and his role in the universe. Most of all, he has pondered the nature of Earth. The famous explorers Captain James Cook in 1768 and Captain James Ross in 1839 attempted to circumnavigate what they considered the southern continent, which is known today as Antarctica. They spent many years and sailed many thousands of miles, but were unable to find a passageway. Although an excellent sailor and mapmaker, creating some maps that are still considered accurate today, Captain Cook found an impenetrable barrier of ice blocking any attempt to circumnavigate this area. When Captain Ross launched his expedition to circumnavigate Antarctica, he found the same impenetrable barrier. He sailed for many years and over 60,000 miles, often finding himself out of reckonings 12 to 16 miles daily, because distances were longer than expected. Captain Ross noted that the South Pole did not have a 24-hour sun, and found himself traveling and narrowly missing icebergs in the dark. Captain Ross found the South Pole to be very inhospitable. The South Pole is very different from the North Pole. The North Pole is much warmer, has more animal and plant life, and a 24-hour sun. The temperatures in the South Pole are the coldest ever recorded, that of minus 128 degrees Fahrenheit. The captains Cook and Ross could never circumnavigate Antarctica because they could never penetrate an ever-present wall of ice, 200 to 300 feet high. In fact, the Earth has never been circumnavigated north to south over Antarctica, either by land, sea, or air. All attempts to do so resulted in failure. This is consistent with the flat Earth model of the world, which depicts the Earth as a flat disk surrounded by giant ice walls around the perimeter. Many explorers have traveled east to west to circumnavigate the globe. However, traveling in any direction will ultimately lead to the ice wall perimeter if following a straight course. Then what is the true nature of our Earth? Whether the Earth is flat or globular has been debated by scientists even into the 19th century. A famous scientist named Samuel Rowbotham lived from 1816 to 1864. He argued that Earth was flat and devised many tests to demonstrate this. He started a society called the International Flat Earth Research Society, or IFRS. This society exists today and is managed by Eric Dubé. In 1931, a physicist named Auguste Piccard launched in a balloon 15 miles high and reported that the Earth appeared to be flat and have curved up edges. This observation bolstered the flat Earth theory. The work of engineers also support this model. Consistent with the concept of flat Earth, bridges, canals, and tunnels are all designed without accounting for a curve on the Earth's surface. Engineers and architects never factor in any curvature in their calculations, despite designing structures traversing miles of distances. For example, the Suez Canal from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea is 100 miles long, with no locks, and is perfectly parallel with a constant 26-foot depth below sea level. If the Earth were curved, a drop of 6,670 feet would be expected. Numerous experiments have been conducted testing the flatness of the Earth. Studies have taken place in many countries by various groups who have used lasers across distances to test for curvature.
Alright, here's my setup. As you can see, not far off the water. It's actually frozen there. Maybe it's about 32 degrees, maybe 31 degrees outside right now. My wife will have a spotlight that direction at Eagle Park. Put this, you can see it's standing on the ice right there. There's really no extra inches to be involved here. And the height, about 30.5 inches.
I'm just under the trees right now.
Okay. The peninsula. I definitely see you again. This is awesome.
Yeah, there's ice out here, Ben.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's really far out ice. Safe for you?
Yeah, I see it perfectly.
You're shining on the...
I don't see it now.
No.
Okay, are you out? Are you out to the water's edge yet?
Yeah, I'm out to the... Well, not to the end of the peninsula.
Well, you don't need to go all the way. I see you just until you get to a water's edge, because you know, get as much distance as.
Want to be at the water's edge?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all you have to do is now lower. You're at where's it at? Like shoulder, chest high, or?
It's on the ice. Do you see it?
I just see glowing. But yeah, I can see a reflection in the water sometimes. Shine it on the water a bit.
Is this shining on the ice?
I don't see it.
But it wasn't shining at you.
Now I see a reflection. Okay. Before it dies or anything, can you lower it as far as you can go? Just tell me, kind of speak out and tell me where it's at.
Okay, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still see it?
Yes.
Do you still see it?
Yeah.
You still see it?
Yeah.
It is on the ice right now. The edge of the light is on the ice.
Holy crud. Alright, that's pretty much flat Earth. I don't see it.
It's on.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it on a second. I'm gonna zoom out. Be sure to grab your GPS coordinates right where we're doing this.
Okay.
So you have it on the...
It is on the ice. You still see it?
Yeah, I do.
So I'll turn it off. It's off?
Yep.
It's on.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom out again. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna...
See about grabbing those coordinates.
Okay, also...
These studies confirm that even over great distances, There is no earth or water between 2 points separated by miles. The earth shows no indication of curvature. It has been offered that ships sailing off into a distance sail beyond the curve of water, but telescopes bring them back into focus, showing that it is only the limitation of our eyes and perspective that create this illusion. The observation of water support a flat Earth model. It is fundamental that water maintains its own level, no matter what the shape of its container. It does not curve or bend. The ocean is thousands of miles wide, and there is no evidence of the water bending. It is also likely that the Earth is stationary. Sir George Airy, 1801 to 1892, a mathematician and astronomer, devised an experiment known as Airy's failure, in which he placed water in a telescope to slow down the speed of starlight in an attempt to prove the Earth's movement. Instead, he discovered that the Earth is stationary, and it is the stars which rotate above us. Centered in the stars above us is the polar North Star, around which all stars rotate in concentric circles, never deviating from their patterns, making stellar constellations that have been observed and deified for thousands of years. But how can this be if the Earth rotates around the Sun at 67,000 miles per hour, and the Sun rockets through the Milky Way galaxy at 514,000 miles per hour, and the Milky Way travels through the universe at 1.3 million miles per hour? It seems likely that the night sky should look different over the years, with stars flying off in different directions. Again, observing the oceans, despite an Earth allegedly rotating at 1,000 miles per hour, the water does not spin off the Earth or even gather at the equator. This is always explained away as the magic of gravity, binding the oceans tightly to the Earth's surface, yet allowing fish and other animals to swim unabated. But what about the images of the Earth? This should answer the questions once and for all. We have satellites and space stations taking photographs. In reality, there are very few photographs offered to be of the Earth. These images are in fact CGI creations and visualizations. The most famous image, known as the Blue Marble, was created by NASA's Robert Simon, a data visualizer. He stated that these images had to be created, that they are not photographs, but rather an artistic rendition of data, from which he created the image. The colorations are made according to how he thinks the Earth should appear. images vary in color. Their continental landmasses vary in size and proportion. Sometimes a continent can appear to absorb 1/4 of the globe. Can we rely on these satellite images? Of course, it is strange that thousands of satellites are in orbit without collisions on a continual basis. But if satellites are limited and in low orbit, how can we have a GPS system? It has been argued that the GPS systems are ground-based, and this explains why huge areas in the southern hemisphere over the oceans have no GPS tracking system, and why airplane tracking in the southern hemisphere is sparse. How can the Earth and the solar system work if the Earth is flat? Why don't we fall off the edge of the Earth? The flat Earth model depicts the Earth as a disk with ice walls located on its perimeter. What lies beyond has never been crossed by land, air, or sea. Primarily, this is due to the extreme temperatures in giant ice walls on the disk's outer edge. There are no examples of travels beyond Antarctica to circumnavigate the Earth. There are stories of trips to Antarctica and treks across this region, but when closely examined, the explorers always return without crossing over this frozen territory. There are no plane routes over this ice-laden zone. Therefore, what lies beyond the ice wall barrier is unknown. What happens at the edge is also unknown. What we do know is what is available for testing. All of the laser measurements of the known Earth suggest that the Earth is flat. This is most easily demonstrated with the testing over stretches of water. There are images showing the round globe and curved surfaces. Flat earthers believe that these are CGI or fisheye lens created images. There are also many images taken from high altitude balloons which show that the Earth is in fact flat. If the Earth is flat, why is it not possible to see across great distances? The nature of our eyes limits the distances that we can see. This limitation is known as perspective. This perspective creates a vanishing point in which all sides converge. For example, viewing a railroad track or a hallway, the sides appear to converge. Even with the aid of telescopes, vision has limitations. Additionally, the Earth's atmosphere contains air and water molecules which obstruct vision over great distances. If the Earth is flat, is there any evidence of rotation? The concept that the Earth is rotating at 1,000 miles per hour is riddled with contradictions and anomalies. For example, if one were to hover over the Earth and wait for 1 hour, the Earth should have traveled 1,000 miles underneath. Why is it that Kansas, located in the center of the United States, is a 3-hour flight from the east and west coast? These flights showing no effect of the 1,000-mile-per-hour treadmill below their trajectory. This anomaly is accounted for by the atmosphere traveling with the Earth in uniformity. How this happens is not easily explained, for the Earth has a metal core and is composed of minerals and rocks, but the atmosphere is composed of gases which are light and buoyant. Remarkably, gravity allegedly pulls the helicopter or jet around the Earth in perfect orbit, like a ball on a string. This is argued even though planes and jets easily defy gravity's pull, flying in upward trajectories adeptly. However, if gravity has this power to hold a helicopter or jet plane in orbit at a great distance, then how is it that humans, birds, insects, fish, clouds, smoke, and balloons move freely over the Earth's surface while being the closest to the Earth's gravitational pull? How is it that the atmosphere is pulled? Why is it that no effects of an atmospheric pull exist? If the Earth is a rotating globe and not flat, why is it that airplanes never adjust to the Earth's curvature? The curvature of the Earth is stated to be 8 inches times 1 mile squared. Airplanes traverse the globe at a 700 mile per hour pace, which on a round Earth would require the pilot to tilt the plane downward 61 miles every hour because of the Earth's arc. In reality, pilots never correct for this alleged bend. Altimeter readings do not show changes in the plane's altitudes over great distances on level journeys despite the Earth's alleged round shape. Incredibly, gravity is alleged to hold the plane in orbit, preventing it from breaking its path and traveling outward to space, yet placing no such limitation on the plane in its upward trajectory, where the plane defies gravity with ease. Gravity is a concept used to explain many phenomena, despite a multitude of contradictions. It powerfully holds the airplanes on a curved trajectory at 30,000 feet, but allows humans, animals, and insects easy passage on the Earth's surface. It allows for balloons, smoke, and clouds, and easy ascension. It allows water to be spun around at 1,000 miles per hour while being bound tightly to the Earth's surface, showing no elevated gathering at the Earth's equator. It inexplicably pulls the gaseous Earth atmosphere at the same velocity as the Earth's metallic core, while showing no evidence of motion. It allows for humans to rotate at 1,000 miles per hour and travel around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, through the galaxy at 514,000 miles per hour. It allows for our Milky Way galaxy to travel at 250,000 miles per hour, while all of the time we feel nothing, and there is no proof of any rotation anywhere. Yet there are even more contradictions in a rotating round Earth concept. The Earth is composed of solids, liquids, and gases, yet despite rotating at 1,000 miles per hour, they do not churn, combine, and blend like the contents of a cement truck. Lakes and oceans are level and placid. Mountains and deserts maintain their singular and unique properties, instead of combining with the oceans to form a mass of mud. The magic of gravity is again cited as an explanation. The notion that the Earth is a revolving sphere, tilted 23.4 degrees as it rotates on its axis every 24 hours, provides further contradictions. Rivers should flow in opposite directions every 12 hours, following the incline of the land, flowing backward and forward as the Earth spins on its axial rotation. However, they do not. Again, accounted for by the magic of gravity. In the modern age, it is argued that there are satellites that provide a detailed view of the Earth's surface. However, some believe that these satellites do not reach a high enough altitude to obtain a full view of the Earth's surface. Rather, they provide a limited view of the Earth below them. Additionally, some claim that they are not launched by rockets, but instead by balloons and recovered by aircraft. These people maintain that the images they provide are photographed with the curved fisheye lens to make the observable Earth appear as if it is the entire Earth and round in nature. A question arises as to how a flat Earth model would work with the sun to allow changes in climate, seasons, daylight and nighttime. The flat Earth model provides that the Sun is small, close, and rotates over the stationary Earth, that it spirals northward from about the equator and spirals back again to give the seasons. This would account for a 24-hour sun in the North Pole, but not the South Pole, as well as the temperature differences between the two poles. Images taken by cameras on balloons show a small and local sun that creates hot spots on the clouds. This would not be the case if the sun were 93 million miles away, since the entire hemisphere of the Earth would receive the same light. This also explains why places such as London, England, and North Africa have such huge temperature differences despite being only 2,000 miles apart. A distance when compared to a sun 93 million miles away is virtually meaningless. Further proof that the sun is closer and smaller can be found in the angles of the sun's rays as they shine on the Earth. Using the geometry of a triangle, the true distance of the sun is probably much closer and is perhaps approximately 3,000 miles away. Intertwined with the concept of a flat Earth is its relationship with space. For many inquire as to how a flat Earth can exist in space. The nature of space coexisting with the Earth creates its own questions. The Earth has an atmosphere consisting of gases such as nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and methane. Under Henry's law, these gases should expand to the size of their container. Yet the Earth's atmosphere is said to be in contact with the vacuum of space. Therefore, a barrier must separate space from the Earth's atmosphere. However, the vacuum pressure of space is said to be very powerful, on the order of 1 times 10 to the minus 7 to 3 times 10 to the minus 17 torr range. Without a strong barrier, it is likely that the gases would simply be sucked into outer space.
The gauge that's on top of the tank trailer is a vacuum gauge. That's showing negative pressure inside the tank. There it was. Wait about 9 minutes.
The Earth is said to have a thermosphere beginning at 57 miles from the Earth's surface. The thermosphere has temperatures exceeding 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, yet the melting point of various metals is much lower. Titanium, 3,034 degrees, aluminum, 1,221 degrees, gold, 1,948 degrees, copper, 1,984 degrees, and ceramic tiles between 1,800 and 3,000 degrees. With temperatures this high in the thermosphere, satellites and space should not be sustainable. Rockets would also be difficult to fly in space. Rocket engines achieve thrust by pushing against the air molecules in the Earth's atmosphere. However, in space, there are no air molecules. In fact, space is a great vacuum, so thrust is virtually impossible. The vacuum pressure is unmanageable and hazardous. How could an astronaut exit into the immensely powerful vacuum of space with nothing but a urethane-coated nylon suit? His internal air should expand with tremendous force, essentially exploding. Thus, space travel is another mystery. The earliest reliable documented mention of the round Earth concept dates to around the 6th century BC, when it appeared in ancient Greek philosophy. This idea was ascribed to Pythagoras, but this is not certain. His analysis perhaps should not be accepted whole cloth. He did not have the aid of a telescope. Pythagoras was in fact a cult leader, and he and his followers literally worshipped numbers, such as the number 10. They would pray to the number 10 saying, "Bless us, divine number, thou who generated gods and men." In order to join the Pythagoreans, one would have to swear an oath to the Holy Triangle. Pythagoras was called divine, and he told people he was the son of God, usually Hermes or Apollo. Pythagoras actually believed that the earth, moon, and sun revolved around a dangerous sphere in the center of the universe. The idea of the earth's rotation and its axis and revolving around the sun is ascribed to Antarctus of Samos, born 310 BCE. In 1543, Nicholas Copernicus published his book on the revolutions of heavenly spheres, stating the Earth and all other planets orbited the sun. Until this time, the Earth was considered to be the center of everything. The planets, the sun, and the stars orbited the Earth. Copernicus was a Catholic canon and took religious oaths. Copernicus also had no telescope and relied on his naked eye and mathematical assumptions. He worked for 27 years on a model to fit his desire to put the sun in the center of the universe. Copernicus, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, and Isaac Newton were all Freemasons and central proponents of the heliocentric model. The heliocentric model and sun worship are major tenets in Freemasonry. Sun worship is prevalent throughout history, dating at least to the time of the Druids. It was central to the Egyptian religion. Apollo was the god of the sun and light for the Romans. The decision to place the sun at the center of the universe was a religious and political move rather than scientific. The justification was a mathematical model. Even Copernicus expressed reservations about his model. What is the true nature of our world and our universe? What has been taught to us since birth may not be reality, but indoctrination of a religion. Explanations are always offered to support a model, and they are endless. In the modern scientific world, it seems that proving the shape of the earth is obvious and easy. In the end, how much of what we know to be true is a blind reliance on the statements of others, without any cooperation on our part? It is true only because that is what we've been told, and we trust the speaker and adopt the model. Is there a deception? Why would there be a deception? Who can be behind this deception? The answers to these questions are for you to discover. Accepting statements at face value is easy and safe, but gets you no closer to the truth. In the end, shouldn't we seek truth?
First one. This is probably like a 5 seconds video here, and already 2 bubbles were visible. So there is some more. There you go, another one. It's amazing how this guy doesn't burn with 2,500 degrees. Anyway, in the next segments we'll be looking at EVA-30 and EVA-31 that were made with a GoPro camera with audio. Here, usually in these subaquatic walks, usually they muffle the sound so we will not listen the real sound that's going on. Luckily we have access to these two ones like this. This is from EVA 30, and we'll start to see some of the bubbles and listen some of what's the real sounds of the spacewalks. So we realize this is just a subaquatic walk. So this is now, I think, time for some shower air bubbles. There you go. It's so many that the guy put the hand in front of the camera trying to hide because there were too many, but they keep flowing. Just too many. Because they keep flowing out of the ISS, the guy decided to change the camera to another view. Hello, subaquatic man. Now here in this, we can listen a breath of some scuba diver and bubbling flowing out. I don't know. You cannot have this sound in space to start, like subaquatic sound of bubbling, and the guy like Darth Vader. Now some more bubbles going on. Put some slow motion so everyone can see these bubbles just getting out. This one was from the solar panel-ish. I think we cannot call it solar panels, maybe subaquatic panels. Well, this is the real sound from the real subaquatic walk. Now, if we can listen all these sounds of this person activity, I think we can suppose that if they were at 400 kilometers high and the sound is propagated so clearly, so the heat and radiation will have the same kind of propagation, transmission. Here is a helmet and glove check, and will be fun because the helmet and glove check is to check if they have water. That's fun. Water. They are in the vacuum of space. Should be no water there. You can see that they float like they are in water, and usually the legs go up because it's where they don't have weight, so they are pushed up to the surface of the swimming pool. Now here the glove check, and listen what these astronauts say. One finger, two fingers. I have all my fingers. Oh my God!
Wheels, my hat check's good. There's no water in my helmet, and on my left glove at the base. Wheels, my hat check's good. There's no water in my helmet. And on my left glove at the base. Wheels, my hat check's good. There's no...